3, 2.
Welcome to Cabomil News and Community Update in English. This is Corey Riggs along with Claudia Velo. Claudia, how are you?
I am great. I love your enthusiasm, Corey.
I'm excited. I'm so excited to be here. We have a great show. We actually have Isabelle Gagnon with us, who is a functional medicine certified health coach and lifestyle educator. We're going to get into our interview with her in a few minutes, but I am so excited also because we have La Marea is back
They
on
are.
our show today.
They like us. For some reason, they like us. Almost as much as we like their seafood.
Yes,
No,
I
it's
love
great.
it
It's a
there.
great place. It's in San Jose del Cabo. In Plaza Peninsula, they have parking, which, if you ask me, when you're going to a restaurant, having parking,
Hmm.
easy parking, big deal.
It
And
is a
they
big
do
deal.
have parking available. It's only 25 pesos for 4 hours. They're located at Plaza Peninsula in San Jose del Cabo. Open every day from 9 till noon. You can get great Mexican and seafood fusion breakfasts. And then starting at noon, seafood, fish, ceviches, tiraditos, yummy food. So don't miss it. And also, you can call in for takeout. They also have delivery and they have special family packages. All you need to do is give them a call to 624-172-6233 for great seafood. Go to La Marea.
And if you haven't been there, you got to go because I'm telling you, the ceviche is incredible. There's different types, the tuna tartare, everything is so good there. It's one of my favorite places to go. So it's
You know
it's,
what I
it's really
love?
great.
Their chiles güeros, the stuffed peppers with the
Hmm.
smoked tuna. Those are super good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And not that I drink margaritas. If I go there for lunch, not that I drink margaritas in the middle of the day.
No,
Uh,
but we've heard.
but
We
they're
have
really good
heard.
there too. They're really good there too. So they have nice drinks, nice food, and a great atmosphere. So go to La Marea and enjoy yourself. Claudia, tell us more. What's going on in the news?
So, Holy Week is coming up. Holy Week and Easter, and as you may or may not know, if you're new to Mexico, Holy Week is a big holiday period in Mexico, and that's when a lot of families get together. And traditionally, they would go camping, especially people from up north would drive down and camp at El Tule and different beaches. Well, this year it's not going to happen. The
Mm,
health authorities have decided that because of the current COVID-19 situation and in order to avoid a spike in the number of cases, no camping, no overnight camping will be allowed at any beach in Baja California Sur. This was determined by the Health Safety Committee for the state, where the governor and the health authorities and the armed forces and all the people in charge of safety and security for our communities and society participate. And so that was decided. No overnight camping over Holy Week and Easter. But the good
mm.
news is that we're still at level 3. And the even better news is that this is the second week with a drop in the number of cases, of active cases that are reported by the Secretary of Health. So good news in that arena. Of course, the authorities continue to insist that all the preventive and sanitary protocols have to be observed and followed.
Mhm.
And they are preparing. We already have spring breakers in Los Cabos, and they're out and they're having fun. And the idea is to continue to, wash your hands, use sanitizing gel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and stay healthy. And I think that's the whole point. Just be healthy.
Very good. Well, they're definitely out in force. I went downtown last night. Well, we actually went downtown together
We
last night. We
did.
had dinner at Dinkson, which was a blast with your son, Giancarlo. And what a great human being he is. We have to have him on the show. We got to get him on the show. He
Yeah.
sells these incredible watches, was telling me all these things about watches. And then we go out and see his car, and it's in a Barth, which I have never heard of before. It looks like a Fiat, and he turned it on, and it's got a Ferrari engine. It is the coolest thing I think I've seen in a long time.
It
I got to
is
be
fun.
honest.
It's fun.
And it's got to be so fast. It's so small, and he just takes off in it. So
I know. I don't want to talk about that. It makes me nervous.
We need to have it. We need to have him on the show so he can talk to us about watches and about cars. I was very impressed with him. Well, you were talking about the news, and a couple interesting things happened in the United States the last couple of days. Everybody knows who Anthony Fauci is, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's been really running the. What would you say? He's been running our response to COVID-19, or suggesting things very, very strongly, which most states have followed. Some states have not followed, by the way. And there was a very interesting exchange yesterday between him and Senator Rand Paul. And Rand Paul, who actually got COVID early on, he was one of the first senators that got COVID right when the crisis started. He went after Dr. Fauci yesterday pretty strongly, and was asking him why. First of all, he asked him why he's wearing 2 masks, because Dr. Fauci has been vaccinated. So he asked him that directly, and he said, hey, I don't understand. If you've been vaccinated, why are you wearing a mask? And someone like me who's already had COVID, why are you telling me I have to wear a mask? Because the studies have shown that even if someone gets COVID after they've already had it, which is a very low number, it's less than 1%, their symptoms are usually a lot more milder, and no one's really ending up in the hospital or dying. And so he went after Dr. Fauci. He says, why are you still telling people they have to wear masks after there's 50 million people in the United States have already gotten a vaccine? You need to tell them not to wear a mask anymore. They don't need to wear it. And also, you need to tell people that have already had COVID, they don't need to wear a mask. And it was a very interesting exchange. Dr. Fauci really didn't say anything back. And Rand Paul actually said, hey, isn't the mask thing you're doing just theater? And I really suggest everyone watch it on YouTube. It's very interesting. And I think there's just a lot more people pushing back. Obviously, in the United States, there's 16 states now that have opened. And I think the numbers are bearing that out. Look at what's happening in Los Cabos. Based on what they told us last year, we should be at the green level based on the numbers. And I keep saying that we're still at level 3. I understand there people are taking precautions, but it's just time to open up. And I hope that the authorities, as soon as Easter ends, I hope they can open up and just look at the numbers. The number of hospitalizations, it's really low. And I think it's very instructional to watch Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci. No matter what side of the aisle you sit on, I think it's a great demonstration of democracy in action.
Absolutely. And also getting the facts and looking for the scientific support on everything that is being said is very, very important.
It's very important. And the other thing that's happened lately is, Ron DeSantis, who's the governor of Florida, has actually been getting a lot of praise from Democrats now, which is kind of interesting because his state has stayed open. And the level of hospitalizations, death has been about the same as California per capita. And you think about that, you have a state that stayed open and businesses stayed open and there was no mask mandate ever. And you have another state that I may be wrong about that. There might have been a mask mandate at the very beginning, but there was lifted. But you look at another state that had severe lockdowns, all these things, the numbers aren't that different. And I think that's an important conversation that people should have. I'm not saying what someone should do or what they shouldn't do, but it is interesting to look at. And I think that as we perform an autopsy on 2020 in the coming years, there's going to be a lot of different opinions on what should have been done or what shouldn't have been done. But we will leave that for another time, Claudia.
I think that there's so much to talk about on that. But certainly we will talk about it at a different time.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Well, we are excited to introduce our next guest. And one of the things that we talk about a lot on this show, which as you've mentioned, Claudia, it's important to wash your hands and to wear your mask indoors and do all the protocols, stay a certain number of feet away from somebody, although that has also changed. It went from 6 feet to 3 feet in the United States.
Yeah, we're starting to get closer, which I'm all
starting
for
to
that.
get closer, which is really great. But it's even more important to actually do some proactive things like take care of your health and get out in the sun. And that's what's so great seeing all these spring breakers here. They're out in the sun. So let's get that vitamin D in there. Let's work out. And we are very excited to have our next guest, Isabelle Gagnon, who is a functional medicine certified health coach and lifestyle educator. She's one of the first people I met in Los Cabos when I got here in 2008. Her and Modu, who we've had on the show a couple times. But they are the first two I met, and I've worked with her. She's given me health coaching. She's helped me a lot through the years. And Isabelle, so excited to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Korey and Claudia. So exciting to be here. I just love to have an opportunity to share with your listeners. So shoot. Just let's do it. Let's do this.
First of all, you need to tell us what a functional medicine. Oh, I'm saying it wrong. What's wrong with me?
It's the medicine of today.
It's a medicine. Functional medicine certified health coaches. Maybe you could tell us and our audience about that.
With pleasure. Well, it's the 21st century medicine, and it's actually known as root cause medicine. But let me illustrate this for you in a very simple way. So let's say we are trees, like trees with leaves and so on. So we are used to look at our leaves only, which are symptoms. And so does conventional medicine. You know, what do we do when we have a scratchy throat or, we have something that hurts? The first thing we have in mind is what? Going to see the doctor to get something to fix it. So it's not that we don't believe in medicine, in medication or in drugs and so on in functional medicine. It's got its place. It's been so helpful. The science on this side of the medicine has been amazing to, heal so many conditions. There's been so many things that it's been useful for. But the functional medicine, what it does is it adds value because we look at the trunk and at the roots of the tree. So what does that mean is we don't think of suppressing the symptoms. We actually like to go a deep dive into what is at the root cause of these symptoms. So would you like me to give you a simple example?
We would
Yes,
love
please.
it.
I've got many.
We would enthusiastically love it.
Absolutely.
I've got many, but I've got the story of one of my clients because right now, stress and digestive issues are at the top of the list for the issues that I see my clients. So I have a client, and we typically do when someone comes to me and they have an issue with their digestive systems. On the functional medicine, which is root cause, what do? We remove triggers first to see, okay, let's see what's bothering this here, So this particular client in question discovered that she had an intolerance to tuna. And let me give you the difference between intolerance and allergies, because a lot of people confuse the two. An allergy is that, let's say, peanuts, which is very easy for everybody to understand. If you're allergic to peanut, you can't eat peanut, period, because you could die. An intolerance is when you have eaten something so much, that's an easy example, that the body goes, okay, enough. You need to give me a break. And there's a very fine line between the two. So people always comes to me, I've got a list of allergies. When we look at everything, very little allergies, but a lot of food intolerance. Very important to know the difference. So through her healing journey with me of eliminating things, we discovered, okay, we need to be off of tuna, which, by the way, when you have a food intolerance, it doesn't mean that you're not going to ever eat this food again. But if you take a 2 to 3 months, usually that's a good period of time for the body to just flush itself of it, take a break, heal the gut. And reintroducing it is very interesting, as most of the people say, wow, I can eat this again, not in a huge amount like I did before, but in moderation, and I'm fine with it. In the case of this particular client that knew she had an intolerance, she goes away and she's out and she's thinking, oh, it's in a seafood place and there's just a little tuna thing, and it was offered to her as a complimentary. So she felt, okay, I'm going to eat this. It's just so small. Sick all night like a dog. And so because she was on holidays, she decided to go to the doctor that was there because she didn't know how to manage this. It was a really, really strong reaction, like the throwing up, the diarrhea, and so on. Goes to the doctor who has no idea of her history, doesn't ask anything about her whole health background, touch her belly, which was obviously swollen. She's having a crisis, and says, you got gastritis. Here's the medication. So the client comes back to me with her head behind her tail. Is that head between her tail? Oh, is that the expression? Because
tail between the
tail
legs.
between her legs. Because the head between the tail is a yoga pose that is very hard to accomplish.
Very difficult.
By the way, the listeners that know me are going to go, this is an Isabel, because I do this a lot. I do the reversal of these expressions big time. So that we meet a week after for her usual appointment, and she goes, here's what happened, here's what I did. And I go, okay, so what do you think? She goes, I didn't do what you suggest that we've started to do, is to get curious and know. I ate tuna, and obviously I'm becoming even more intolerant. So I don't need to pay someone first to tell me something and give me something to buy when I know that I shouldn't have eaten that tuna. And of course, the next night she ate a bit more seafood, and it got worse. I'm using this example because the thing is, we all have an innate intelligence. We all know ultimately what's good for us, but along the way, we've lost our way. We've given the power out there to tell us what's better for us and so on. So functional medicine is really focusing on getting people back to trusting their own innate intelligence, to get curious. And then we personalize what it is that you need to do with your diet and your lifestyle. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what functional medicine is. It really is to, before going out, being told something, if you know that you have a bellyache, ask yourself. And 90% of the time we know, well, okay, if I'm really honest with myself, I ate too much pizza last night, or too much wine or coffee or whatever it is. We know, it's very hard for us. It's much quicker to go, let me fix me. We're in a world of fixer upper. Remember that commercial?
Yeah, but isn't that part of the problem? I mean, the example you just gave is this person who knew they ate something they shouldn't have eaten, goes to a doctor, and then this doctor gives her medication, which can also cause more problems because it's not really even what she needed. She just needed to stop eating the tuna.
Wow! Thank you.
So what happens is we're fixing a symptom, as you said, instead of getting to the root of the tree. What's the problem, and really fixing that?
Well, kudos to my client. In her case, she got wise enough in her journey to go, I'm not taking this. I know this is not what I should have done.
Good.
Because it's true, Korey, is what we do. The issue of suppressing is when you take medication for any issue that you haven't looked at the root cause, you're actually suppressing the issue. You're not healing it. Right. That's a very important also distinction to do. So what happened is it gives us permission when we take medication to suppress to do more of what we shouldn't be doing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then it creates gut issues, because one of the number one issue for gut, which 90% now, it went from 80 to 90% of people we all have gut issues of a different level, as medication and drugs is like a vicious circle. You take something to suppress, hits the gut, creates gut issue, creates leaky gut, and then create other issues in the body. And I say again, it's not that medication is bad. Medication has its place, and it's never meant to be taken long term. It's like, okay, let's just extinguish the fire. So if you have to take it, okay. And let's go do a deep dive. Let's just go down this rabbit hole and see what's at the root cause of my issues.
Well, Isabel, we're going to take a break in just a minute here, but I just wanted I'd like to get into the biodiversity about the gut. You and I have had those conversations before. We can talk about that. But we're talking with Isabelle Gagnon, a functional medicine certified health coach and lifestyle educator. You can always follow us on Cabomil News on our Facebook page, on YouTube, Cabomil News, or of course, you're listening to us on 96.3 FM, Sundays at 6 p.m. Isabelle, it's so exciting to talk with you. We're going to come back. We want to continue the conversation, and we'll actually have extra conversation on Facebook. So again, Cabomil News on Facebook. You get all this bonus material. And Claudia, wouldn't you agree that that's the best place to watch our show?
Absolutely. That's where you get the full show.
You get the full Monty. You get the full Monty.
Follow us on Facebook, Cabomil News.
And you get to look at our beautiful faces as well if you go
that's
there.
That's the big bonus.
That's absolutely it. So stick with us. We'll be back with Isabelle after these messages. Okay.
All right.
So we're still recording. So let's talk about a couple things here to give our Facebook Live audience some bonus material. Claudia, do you have any questions for Isabelle?
I mean, I've gone through that whole journey with my son's health, and going from giving a child antibiotics from the moment they have a little fever to just almost completely giving up on traditional medicine. So, but we are a society of quick fixes. You have a headache, you take something so the headache goes away. And like you say, Isabel, we don't sit and think, okay, when do I get a headache? Because sometimes it's a food, sometimes it's chocolate or whatever. How do you train people to kind of like move away from those quick fixes and take the time to actually see what's going on with our own bodies?
Good question. And you know what, Claudia, my coaching has changed in the past 14 years, because at first I was too quick at help. I mean, I'm so passionate about what I do that I was too quick to tell people what to do and how to find. And I realized that I was actually making them dependent on me. They were dependent on medication. Now they depend on me. So my top word for this year and forever is curiosity. So now I ask people, when they ask my clients to come to me when they first meet me, and after that they know, if they come to me, for example, this week I had a client that messaged me, Isabelle, I think that I'm not drinking enough water because when I wake up, my mouth is dry. What do you think? So I sent her a message, what do you think? Mm-hmm. And she goes, oh, I should have thought of that. So she started to tell me, okay, I've got this big bottle. You're right. You're right. And I didn't say anything. She's going through this whole rational life. And now she found the answer herself. So I tell my clients, I'm available 5 days a week through Messenger or WhatsApp in between appointments. But I would like you to suggest that before you ask me a question, you haven't found the answer, which means that you've looked for the answer yourself. It's about retraining ourselves to connecting, to figuring out. Again, it's like because of this fast technology, we have answers so fast on our phone. But you would think that because we have this fast technology that we would be more researcher into, let me find my own answer. For some reason, what I've realized is what we do is we're going to specialists to tell us what we think they think we have. So it's again, my coaching is changing in a way that part of when they come to see me to lose weight, eating broccoli is not the issue. And they laugh. That's one of my best lines, by the way. I should copyright this. They go, oh, this is such a good line. What does that mean? Once you've reconnected with yourself, that you really want to look after yourself, to take responsibility, to know what, I know what I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing. When you get into that flow and start to make the changes and feeling good, eating broccoli is not a problem. Doing exercise is not as big of an issue. So it's really about getting back to answer your question as short of a way as possible. It's getting back into getting more curious about our own selves and our own intuition, because ultimately we have everything in nature to heal ourselves. So, and that's where we should start, because right now with the overdoing things, is it the tail wagging the dog? No, I said this one right.
Yes.
Yeah, because what we do is we go out before. I'll give you another example, which maybe I don't know if I should wait until we're on live for the example.
We can go back. We can go back on the air, Claudia.
Yeah, let's go back.
Yeah, because that's a good one.
Yeah.
Let me give you an
example. And I got a couple things I'll say before we get. Anyway, we'll get back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back in 3, 2.
Welcome back to Cabomil News and Community Update with Korey Riggs and Claudia Velo. We are speaking with Isabelle Gagnon, a functional medicine certified health coach and lifestyle educator. I promise I'll get it right. It's
a mouthful.
And it is a mouthful. And you can follow the conversation on Cabomil News, on our Facebook page, on a YouTube channel, or you can hear us, of course, on 96.3 FM. Now, there's a lot of bonus material that you're going to miss out if you're only hearing this on the radio. So go check us out on Cabomil News on our Facebook page. You can hear we just had a great conversation with Isabelle that isn't going to make it on the radio, but we wanted to bring her back because there's a lot more to talk about. But it's very interesting because you brought up something, Isabelle, while we were off air about going to specialists. And it's interesting to me because you start to look at indigenous cultures and how they take care of a community's health. The shaman or the healer does not get paid when people are sick. They get paid when people are doing well. And I think the incentive, it's very interesting. You go see a specialist, and I know I used to be a pharmaceutical rep, so I was very involved in this world, but you go see a specialist anywhere and their goal is to make money. So how do they make money? You have to be sick. And how do they make money? They need to do the procedures, and they want to do the procedures, whether you need it or not. Now, I'm not saying every doctor does that, and I'm not saying, but it's a built-in incentive into our system that seems to be backward. You said this expression of the tail wagging the dog, and to me, that feels like that. It's like, why is the incentive for people to be sick instead of the incentive for people to be healthy? And that's how a lot of indigenous, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of indigenous cultures, that's when the shaman gets the money, when everybody's healthy, not when someone's sick. That's when they need to go to work and get people back into balance.
They get fired.
Yeah.
And
You're no longer the shaman.
And you bring in someone else. But that's a very interesting thing. And just one more thing I'll say is I have a functional medicine doctor in the United States. You and I, Isabelle, have talked about him. And it's amazing to go to a doctor and the amount of tests that they do when they're trained to look for the root cause and not for just symptoms and treating them. And they know the imbalances that if you just treat with antibiotics or other things, it can cause more imbalance, and it's not helping anything. So anyway, I'm gonna be quiet, let you talk. But I thought we'd just open up back on the air with that little anecdote. And I know you were about to talk about something else, right? When we were coming to Facebook Live.
Well, thank you, Korey. And before we talk about the tail wagging the dog, and you talked about the payment issue and the money issue, is actually in our field of functional medicine, we've always said that we should be the one being paid much more than we are because we save lives ahead of time. That's what we say. And I think that one day there's going to be a reversal of compensation. But going back to the tail wagging the dog, I was going to use an example that will answer your question. I've been very fortunate in the past 14 years to be, to be taught to follow some great minds in the medicine, and also great minds in the conventional medicine that have crossed over to the functional medicine side because they see the importance of using their knowledge on one side and go to the root cause. And one of them is Dr. Sarah Guthrie. I've studied a lot of her work. She's a PhD specialist in hormone in women, and she has a lot of books out. And one of her courses that I followed is the 21 Hormone Reset. That was a big ha-ha for me. What does that mean? Okay, so what we do is most of us, or all of us, until recently, we feel like, oh, I think I have some hormone imbalance. I'm in my 40s. I'm close to menopause or andropause for man. And so something is off, and I know. So what do? We typically go to the doctor. We have some tests. We're offside. We are thinking automatically, I need to take hormones, which is still rampant. Through doctors, Sarah's study, I learned something that is so brilliant and so simple, but that none of us do, is really most of our hormone imbalances start at the lifestyle. It's lifestyle issues. Too much of this, not enough of that. And what I learned from that is that it only takes 72 hours for any given hormone to reset itself naturally if you remove the trigger. So her 21-day hormone reset means we were eliminating certain foods that we know are triggers. For example, coffee is a trigger for cortisol. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that coffee isn't good for you. It means that if you have chronic stress issues and you're always on the sympathetic side of the nervous system to fight and flight, which we're not supposed to be living there. This is where if we run after by a lion, but most of us live on that side. So we have this cortisol hit all the time. And so we're never really able to be into a rest and digest and repair state. And in that side, if you drink too much coffee, your cortisol is going to be off. And it's going to create a whole symptoms, a loose of symptoms. So just to remove the coffee for a while will reset this naturally. It's so amazing to see. So if you go through this whole process of deciding, before I go, I know my hormones are off, but before I take the pill or the hormone replacement, whether it's natural or not, I'm going to do the process of the work. Is it a little bit more work? Yeah. Changes are nice, having to go to remove things. We are so afraid to have lack in our world of abundance, But 21-day removing the triggers and test after, you will be surprised to see how much more balanced your hormones are before the 21 days, compared to 21 days. And it's just like, it works. It means that if you have to take hormones to supplement, you might need so much less than you would have needed if you hadn't gone through that. It's so logical. You might not even need it. And I'll give you my own example is I did a before and after test when I did, because I used myself as a laboratory. So I did my test before and I had a little bit of outside balance. And after I'd done the 21-day hormone reset, all my hormones were even, like balanced. And I'm in my 60s now. So I like the fact that I'm practicing this in my 60s, because I can say, I walked in your shoes, your boot, and your snowsuit. Mm-hmm. I've gone through all of these changes, and so we always start with lifestyle first. And usually it's food first. And then we retest. And we would be surprised to see the adjustment from the outside might be so much less than we thought, or maybe we don't at all. Now that makes a lot of sense,
well,
right?
I think. Well, let me just say that I think people watching Facebook Live are going to be very surprised. You just said you're in your 60s. You do not look like that at all. And I
Thank you,
think
Korey.
that has a lot to do with your life. And
lifestyle.
People should be listening to this, and they should be making these. You mentioned it's tough to make these little changes. But isn't it tougher to be sick and in a hospital and looking older than your age?
Tougher and more expensive. Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, thank you. Yes, I walk my talk, but I'm going to tell you something. And again, it's about checking in. Like I've never, thank God, had the use of hormones up to now at 63 on Monday. But I know that if I drink a little bit too much wine, for example, I have a hot flash. So I'm not going to say, oops, my hormones are balanced now. I'm 63. Maybe I need some. No. I'm not going down that road. I'm going, now face it, you had a little bit too much wine. The next day, I'm back on my normal lifestyle. And let me say something about this, which now all my clients that are out there know. We're not talking about I'll start again Monday anymore. This is like, we have to lose that narrative because we think, oh, there you go. I screwed up my diet. Let's say it's Wednesday, so I'm going to start on Monday. I don't know whoever decided to come up with that Monday was the marker, that bar that we start anything. It's like, no, I indulged too much, not cheating. There's no cheat days. Nobody's a cheater. We just overindulge, right? Watch your narrative. So, okay, today I had a little bit more margarita at lunchtime with some pasta. I used your example, Korey.
Yeah.
Some rice with butter.
Yeah, it's okay. Tomorrow, I'm back on my balanced nutrition, right? Tomorrow, not the day after, and not Monday. No.
Unless it was Sunday that you overindulged.
Sunday,
Then you start
Sunday's
on Monday.
Okay. Sunday's okay to start on Monday.
Yes, that's the only thing. Mañana, like the expression. Mañana. Yes.
Oh, that's good. I want to ask you about, well, first of all, I want to get into gut health a little bit and just talk about, there's a lot of science around that and how if you don't have the right biodiversity in your gut, that can cause a lot of issues. And I also would like you to talk about a little bit about fasting and how that's being used in a lot of people's diets these days, intermittent fasting or a 3-day fast. I mean, there's a lot of different theories around this and just wanted to get your take on it, Isabel.
Yeah, I would love to. First of all, gut is one of my favorite issues. And thank God, because we all have issues. So thank God I like to talk about gut. So first of all, optimally, what I learned, which is fascinating, is our gut microbiome. We have 10 times more microbes than cells in our body, by the way. So we're actually more microbes than cells. So we have to pay attention to the microbes that we have in our body and in our gut. And by the way, those microbes are in charge of what our cravings are. So that's something that maybe in another, if you invite me again, we can talk about. So let's get back to the diversity. So optimally, our gut microbiome is the mirror of the microbe in the soil. So when we have a rich soil and we eat from the earth, the soil to the plate, we have optimal gut microbiome. With, the whole revolution and the depletion of the richness of our soil, so has our gut microbiome. It's just so logical to think that way. It makes sense. And you were right. I like in the fact that you are so advanced in your learning because you're using some words, Korey. So I commend you on that. It's really the diversity that is important. It's the diversity of microbes. So the more microbes we have, the more diverse, the healthier we're going to be. So how do we increase our diversity? Plant-based is the best place. And by the way, you don't have to be vegan or vegetarian. And vegan and vegetarian is not for everybody. But it's about what we know for sure, for most of us, is we need a good percentage of, and 51% will get you there. So if you increase your plant-based by 51% and diversity, you're going to really have an impact on the healing of your gut and your health and your immunity. So let me ask you a quiz question for the two of you.
Yes.
So how much variety of color and type of plant-based foods should we have or eat or consume in 1 week to get to optimal gut health, like variety in our gut? So how many?
Claudia,
no, Korey will know because he's been doing the homework. I have zero idea. Okay. No, I know from past experience that you should have lots of colors, at least 5 different colors in your meals, and because I know of a doctor who was neo-homeopath. Anyway, long story short, at least 5 colors of food. And in the colors are the vegetables and the grains, and you don't want everything like just white and yellow or brown and white. You want more colors. I know that.
So,
But how
so
many?
what's
No
the
idea.
total? 30 to 50.
30 to 50. My gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
a
when
lot.
people say this, they go, oh my God. And they start to think, you can see them thinking, okay, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. Really?
I
Wow,
only
I'm far
have
from
4.
it. Let me give you, first of all, like you can't do this overnight, but what is encouraging is herbs and spices are included in that.
Okay.
You
good.
know?
Okay.
So yes. And I have a great tool that maybe you can do some kind of a game on your for this particular episode, that anybody that is going to put a like into your Facebook, this particular session, can get a tool to track the number of colors. There's a great tool to see how many variety of colors and plant-based you have in a week, and the kids love to do that. So
Great.
I'm willing. I'm more than pleased, never been willing to send you that 7-page tool for
Wow.
free to
Perfect.
anybody that will click like on your episode on Facebook.
There you
So
go.
like-
Right now,
like
go
it.
to Facebook, Cabomil News.
Yes,
Give it a like and get
and
this great
if they
resource.
want to, yeah, and they have to say I want it. So
Of
we're just
course.
we're just gonna send that. So, anyways, it's very interesting because once you have this in your mind, you start to think it's like, this is so interesting. It's like a new chip. You might decide not to pay attention to it, but it's going to stay there, and you're going to think about it every single time you go to the market from this point on. And let me give you an example, because I used to think that I ate a variety of food. I really thought, Isabel, you're eating very well, you're very healthy. But when I went to another course, and that's where the tool comes from, Dr. Deanna Minnick, who is the brain behind, she's a PhD in micronutrition, one of my mentors for many years, and she's a brain at making tools. She's behind the rainbow diets and the rainbow detox. So I did one of her courses a few years ago, and I tend to, because I love food and I create from scratch, I said, oh, she's got the recipes that every day, but I'm going to do my own. And there's this voice that said, no, you're going to follow this, because it said at the beginning of the book that most of us really don't eat berries. My first haha was, I realized that I was eating a variety of the same food. And when I say this, everybody goes, you're right. I eat a variety, but of the same food. That doesn't count. And I use the example of the radishes, and I use this example for the past 4 years, because that's how long I've done this course. Is I realized through this course that I hadn't eaten radishes for at least 2 years. Like, that's simple, and I realized that because it was in one of the recipes. And so I went back to eating radishes. And by the way, radishes is a bitter. It's one of the best things for your liver, for liver health. One more reason
I
to
love
go.
radishes.
I love them.
Yes.
They're great. Yeah.
But
There's different color radishes too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially here. If you go to
Yes.
the organic market, which is the only place we should be, that's the first place to shop in Los Cabos in high season. And when you can't find there, then you can go to the other commercial places. But they have the heirloom colors, like we have carrots and cauliflower and radishes in different colors. And by the way, when you get that tool that I'm going to send you, it comes at the very end with a list of vegetables and fruits and spices and everything in each of the colors, the rainbow colors. And so it's easy, because you can decide, okay, oh my God, there's a whole bunch of things that I can eat that I've never eaten. And it's easy to go, I'm going to try that this time. But coming back to colors, let's say purple carrots, because they're purple, there's an ingredient that makes it that they're more nutritious than the orange carrots that have, so that keratin.
Wait, can I ask a question about carrots?
Yes.
Because I always have this question. I've been told that you have to cook carrots a little bit for you to get the most out of carrots, because they don't really digest when they're raw. Is that true, or is that a wives' tale?
Well, that's, and we can also get into a whole bunch of, discussion on the anti-nutrients and also the vitamin and so on. So there's certain vegetables, and when you slightly steam them, yes, you get more nutrition out of it when you lightly steam them. There's also the issue that a lot of us that have gut issues, when we eat raw, we can't digest it. And we think, I can't eat broccoli because I'm allergic to it. You're not. It's because you got gut issues. And in the vegetables, in their raw form, they have what we call anti-nutrients.
Okay.
All vegetables have, and that's because they protect themselves from the animals and the insects out there. That's why vegetables have an anti-nutrient, which for us human beings, it's hard to digest. So a lot of vegetables is easier to cook or slightly steam to be highly digestible, much more digestible for us. And again, we're all different. But yeah, there's an issue with anti-nutrients. There's this issue with the nightshades and this whole oxide. Like there's so many different issues with different types of vegetables that makes us, should I cook this? Should I not eat this? And this is all part of doing this journey of finding out what your reactions are personally. And should you do a reset, an elimination diet, and eliminating triggers, which are the different ways of certain vegetables to stay away from, and eating cooked first to heal the gut and digest better. And so there's a whole process into doing that. But to answer your questions, it depends. Some people eat raw carrots and they have no problem because they have no gut issues.
Well, we're speaking with Isabelle Gagnon, functional medicine certified health coach and lifestyle educator. And Isabelle, it's so interesting what you're talking about, because one of the things too is everyone's different. And so what works for someone, it doesn't work for, and that's why all these diet books, all these one size fits all that people are putting out, I think they're very counterproductive, because what you're saying, this elimination, really finding out what works for you.
Yes. And I didn't want to cut you, but I wanted to make sure that I got this out on this particular segment, is that, for example, I don't do labels, diet labels. Not that I don't believe in keto style and so on, but again, because I start with the person and see it's too often a combination of different types of diet. But coming back to keto, which is one of the most popular right now, Sarah Guthrie did a study with her own female clientele, and 50% of women don't do well on keto if they want to lose weight. There's issues with hydration, which a lot of us have also hydration issues. And if you have hydration issues, you'll have a hard time with keto. And there's also hormones. So really, and it's very frustrating. So you need to know upfront that before you dive into any diet, the same as with supplement, let's start by looking at what your issues are. Let's just do a little bit of a healing journey, and then figure out as we go on what fits in a little bit of this, maybe a lot of that, and then you end up with your own personalized way of eating, not of dieting, which I know you wanted to talk about intermittent fasting or fasting.
Yep.
So do you want me to dive into that, or you have any questions?
Yes.
Yeah, you have about 3 minutes to talk about fasting.
Okay, really fast. It's not for everybody. Again, there's studies that, for example, women that are too skinny. Okay, let's be backtrack. Fasting, like exercise, are stressors for the body. They're good stressors if you're metabolically flexible, which means that you're in a good place with your health and your fat to muscle mass. But if you're already very stressed, and whether you're like on one extreme of like very overweight, or you're too skinny, it's not the good place to dive in right away. Like, yeah, I'm going to start right away to do like 6 hours only eating, and I'm going to just fast for the rest. You might create more stress, which will take your markers of health out of whack, and it's going to be frustrating, and you're going to give up. Mm-hmm. So really, the way to start intermittent fasting for everybody in an easy way is 12 hours. We know that if we eat within 12 hours and give the body 12 hours to rest, digest, repair, do its whole cycle, we know that just doing that, you're going to do good for your body. You're going to start to heal. And I compare our system to a washing machine cycle. So we all have we're all made, we're perfect as human beings, the way we're made. And we have a detoxic system. We don't need detox products to detox. We have a whole that machine that detox perfectly itself. There's got the whole cycle. The problem is we need aids because we're so toxic, but we're going to leave this aside. So, for example, the liver, which is our master detoxer, has a phase 1 and 2 to detox. And this, for all of you that want to do juice cleanse for 30 days, things that you're going to detox, you're not going to. Juicing is going to give you a break to your digestive system. It's going to boost your body with some nutrients, but the liver needs real food to detox. I'll say it again. The liver needs real food to detox. 2 phases. First phase of the detoxing system of the liver, it takes your food, it breaks it down into liquid. Then it needs binders for the liquid to be leaving our body, for us to flush it out. The problem is we eat too often or too much of the wrong food. So the phase 1 is constantly breaking things down into liquid. There's never enough, imagine of these binding foods to come and grab this. So what happened is the toxins that we have in the liver go into the gut, get back into the bloodstream and the brain and so on. So we're recycling our toxins all the time. So that's why we're never totally feeling well. Right. There's no such thing as let's do a 3-day golden cleanse and we're going to be fine. This is the days of thinking that I'm going to just go like an oil change in the car, come back and I'm fine.
Doesn't quite work.
It's not going to work like that.
So Isabel, we're gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna definitely have you back. There's so much more to talk about, and it's just so interesting. How can people get a hold of you? How? Because I think there's probably a lot of people out there interested in getting some health coaching.
With pleasure, and God knows it was very slow for me last year, so I am open to new clients.
Great.
For sure. Both my Facebook pages, I'm at my maximum for my personal page for friends, but I have Isabelle, so ISABELLE dash lifestyle is my Facebook page. Okay. I'm on Instagram, Health Coach, and I have my email address. So
we'll put it. We'll do, Isabel. We'll put that all on. We'll have the links so everyone knows how to get a hold of you. But it has been an incredible pleasure having you on the show. We'll keep you over, so we'll have a little bit more bonus material on Facebook Live. But again, what a great show, Claudia. It was fun. We're going to be back next week at 96.3 FM, Sunday at 6 p.m. Or again, you can follow us live on Facebook at Cabomil News or YouTube at Cabomil News. Isabel, thank you for being here. Claudia, thank you very much. Yes, thank you. And Claudia, thank you for a great show.
Thank you. We'll catch you next time.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
All right, so we'll we have a little inside joke going on.
I picked that up. You guys have a lot of inside jokes. It's really nice to see the synergy, the energy between the two of you. That's what makes for a great show. And I'm going to be very honest. Thank God I listened to the shaman that you had on. I'm going to contact him. I went put a like on his page. But you also have really interesting shows, and I can't believe how much I've missed out by not listening to your show. So when you post it, Claudia, I'm going to reshare it on my page, which I have a very big following. So on both pages, hopefully it's going to increase your readership or listenership.
That's
and
wonderful.
I'll send you the tool. I'll send you the 6-page
Yes, please,
tool.
and we'll promote that. That's great.
It's
Absolutely.
Really cool.
So helpful. And I mean, 50 colors. I'm overwhelmed just thinking about it.
No, 50. Not 50 colors. 50 kinds of plant-based.
Kinds. I mean, imagine.
Yes.
Okay.
Even when you go shopping, because you buy, I don't know, spinach, and I figure I'm going to eat spinach twice a week, and then I will buy carrots and I will use that in 3 meals. And so, wow, 50 different things. We have to rethink the way we shop.
If we have another segment, I'm going to do a little bit of a rabbit hole down that journey, because it's about thinking of petite plates. Petite plates in Spanish is tapas. So just think of little bit of different things on your plate. So instead of having a whole bunch of spinach, maybe have a little bit of spinach with a couple of pieces of broccoli and a piece of cauliflower and a piece of sweet potato. You've got 5 right there. So we have a tendency to go boom, one vegetable, protein, and so on, and we eat too much of the same thing as opposed to. And I said to people, they go, I'm going to do that. You do it once a week. You really prepare your fridge with a whole bunch of different things, and you take a little bit of everything every day. You know.
And I really like going to the store and preparing my fridge with tequila and vodka and gin and right mezcal, which is a type of tequila.
Mezcal's good for the gut.
And then you can have a little wine. It is, and it's the only upper. I know that. And so you have a little wine, a little whiskey. Yeah. What am I missing? I think I'm missing fortified wine. And,
but I get that question, and it's good that you say that, Claudia, because mezcal and tequila are number one. When people ask you, what should I drink? I'm trying to lose weight, not too many calories, and actually have a little bit of a healthy, side. And really, tequila and mezcal are probiotics. Yeah. They have a little bit of a healthy gut effect. Yeah. It's just the volume that is an issue.
Don't drink the whole bottle.
And don't drink it. And you can't. And unfortunately, you can't drink it with margaritas because then all the sugar comes in.
Yeah, forget it. No
margaritas. Unless you do a skinny margarita, which is, if you ask in town, I'm known for the chaberita skinny margarita. Oh, okay. Yeah. I have a special recipe we can always share one day, which is delicious. And no sugar.
Something else I heard about mezcal or tequila is actually, just to be clear, and people from tequila hate this, but tequila is a mezcal. It's just a mezcal from the region around Guadalajara, from Jalisco. That's basically what it is.
And it's distilled twice. That's the other difference.
Well, and it's distilled a certain way. It's just like all whiskey. Tennessee whiskey is different than Scotch. Is different because the way it's made and
rye.
It's all whiskey. It's all whiskey.
Well, you mean it comes from the same plant. Tequila and
it comes from the same plant.
It comes from the cactus.
It's all exactly. So tequila has to have over 50% or 51% of blue agave. And Bacanora, which I don't know if anybody knows about Bacanora. I do because it's from Sonora.
Yeah.
It's a mezcal that's branded for Sonora, just like tequila is for Jalisco. So anyway, that's a very interesting conversation as well. But my whole point to this whole thing, which I haven't got to it, is that I had a energy healer one time that talked about clearing the pineal gland and how you can actually decalcify it. And one of the interesting things is you can still drink mezcal or tequila if you're doing that. Not a lot, but like everything else has to go, but you can still have a little mezcal because it's actually fortifying and it's healthy. And so it's a very interesting thing. So
it's a good story.
Mezcal.
It's a good story. It's a good story.
Good. Okay, so we're gonna go off of Facebook now.
Thank you, Isabel.
Thank you so much.
We'll go off it. You can stay for a second. We'll
bye, everybody.